Hi, I'm Laura. I am 33 years old and I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2014 when I was only 25. I then got re-diagnosed in 2016 with secondaries at the age of 28. So at the age of 25, I didn't know that I should be checking myself. I hadn't been told by anybody, and I just happened to come across a lump in my left breast by accident. I was in the shower one morning while I was on holiday, and just happened to come across this lump by accident. Good job I did, because obviously the outcome was breast cancer, but had I not come across that, I would have had no other sign or symptom. I wasn't aware at the age of 25 that you could get breast cancer. So for me, it was a massive shock when I got told I had breast cancer. I feel like the world kind of just fell out from under my feet. I didn't know anyone with it, so I didn't have anything to compare myself to. I just heard of people who got cancer, maybe died, or was really poorly. And so I was terrified, absolutely terrified, completely shocked. I remember having to tell obviously my friends and family about the diagnosis, and because I'd found a lump that I thought was going to be nothing, I hadn't even told anyone I'd found a lump. So it obviously became a massive shock when I did finally tell them. It was weird. I felt that I was talking about someone else upon telling them. I felt that it was a bit of a sort of a dream world, I suppose. I didn't feel like I was talking about me, and I think that's the way I coped with it. I was actually comforting my family and my friends because they were the ones obviously breaking down in tears, and I was the one trying to be strong for them. But breaking that news to especially your parents, grandparents, that you have had a diagnosis was just awful, and just seeing everyone's reactions. So although they did rally around and obviously want to help and support, which was obviously a great thing. Before cancer, I was a hairdresser, and I absolutely loved my job. It was a huge passion of mine. So throughout my primary diagnosis, I managed to keep it going mostly. I put a wig on because obviously I didn't feel like I wanted to be a bald hairdresser, and I worked throughout. Most of my clients knew about the diagnosis. However, I did a lot of wedding hair, and I didn't want to necessarily tell my brides because I was worried that they would then think I was going to let them down. But unfortunately, when I was diagnosed with my secondaries, it came back in my bones, and my humerus head was the main part where the cancer had came to, and I had to have a big shoulder operation. And this completely scuppered up my career. I haven't been able to do hairdressing since the operation because my arm doesn't work in the same way anymore. Obviously, that meant a huge change, because not only at that point did I lose my career, I also obviously was told my cancer was incurable, that I lost the ability to have children, and it just the secondary diagnosis obviously was completely different from your primary. I'm very fortunate that I was with Brad when I was diagnosed with my primary diagnosis. We'd been together 4 years at that point. We had spoken about the potential of a family and buying a house together and getting married one day. And this conversation only happened a few weeks before I actually got diagnosed with cancer. And so I didn't know what was going to happen from that day forward. I was diagnosed with my secondary cancer back in 2016. I was 28 years old, and like my primary diagnosis, I felt that it was a very lonely space. I was under 30, was just told I wouldn't be able to have children. All my friends were, getting married, having kids, buying houses, having a life which I really wanted. And there was me being diagnosed with an illness that is now incurable. And at the time, I was unsure whether I'd still be here a year on, let alone 5 years on, which it is now. And so I felt that I needed to find people that I could connect with that were very similar in the situation. I first came across the Big C when I was first diagnosed. I remember coming in, I think it was either the day I was diagnosed or the next appointment that I had. It was very close to my diagnosis day. And I remember coming in and just finding it amazing that this space existed that was so close to the hospital, but yet felt very different. It wasn't clinical, it wasn't, it was just nice, it was friendly, it was comfortable. And since that point, I felt it was just somewhere I could drop in and pop in when I was feeling like I needed just that little bit of break from my appointments. And you always had a friendly face, and you usually got talking to other patients, which again, I think was really a lovely thing to do. And off the back of that, obviously I found out about all the treatments, the therapies, the services. And I feel that over the last few years, I've definitely used most of it. I remember coming to get a wig when I lost my hair, and getting that fitting again in a safe space that was kind of out of the clinical side of hospital was really great, because you could just come and actually have a bit of time to think about it without it being all medical based. I came and did the Look Good Feel Better workshop, which at the time of feeling not very glamorous, because you're going through situations where, you know, you're having pumped full of steroids, you're losing your hair, you've lost your eyebrows, and to go through something where not only are you gifted a lovely makeup bag, but you're also taught how to draw your eyebrows on properly, or, you know, just look after your skin when it's a bit more sensitive. I came to relaxation workshops, which again I think was really helpful, because at the time I was quite heightened in my kind of stress levels. Everything was really hard. So coming sort of into the centre and actually to be able to switch off was just lovely. So yeah, and the complementary therapies were wonderful, because again, I feel in that position when you're diagnosed, you don't treat yourself, you don't take yourself off for a massage, or you feel that maybe you shouldn't do that because you don't know what's right or what's wrong when you've got a cancer diagnosis. I think I had a few counselling sessions at the time. That was lovely. The ability to come in and always have someone to talk to. I remember coming in and being sat down on my first ever time visiting the centre, and you are just treated with such kindness and respect, and someone to kind of to lean on, really, because at the time of a sad, hard situation, you need someone that's going to sit down and listen, and not just tell you everything's going to be okay, or not tell you that everything's going to be bad, but just to listen and be a friendly face. And that, I think, has been invaluable throughout the whole process. I've used the Big C. You've always been greeted with a smile, you know, sat down. If you want to talk, they're there to talk. If you don't, they'll leave you alone. And it's just that, I feel, yeah, probably is one of the best parts of it.